The lands between the rivers, cradled by the Tigris and Euphrates, had long been a tapestry of warring city-states, each vying for supremacy over the fertile plains that promised wealth and life. Among these, a small town, Babylon, nestled on the banks of the Euphrates, would rise from obscurity to become the jewel of Mesopotamia. Its ascent was neither swift nor inevitable, but marked by cunning rulers, relentless ambition, and a vision that stretched beyond the horizon. In these early days, Babylon was more than stone and clay. It was an idea, a city destined to embody the dreams of kings and the awe of generations to come. Hammurabi, a name that would echo through the annals of history, seized the throne when Babylon was but one of many modest city-states. His reign was more than conquest. It was the crafting of order from chaos. He forged alliances and subdued rivals with both diplomacy and force. Yet it was his laws that carved his legacy into the very bedrock of civilization. The Code of Hammurabi, etched upon towering steles, proclaimed justice with a voice that still resonates. It was a bold declaration. A society must be bound not by the whims of the powerful alone, but by the certainty of law. Each decree, each punishment, and each reward was a brick in the foundation of a city that aspired to immortality. Yet even as Babylon grew in stature, its streets thrummed with the pulse of human ambition and divine intrigue. Temples rose, ziggurats piercing the sky, where priests and scholars debated the will of gods, whose names were as ancient as the rivers themselves. Marduk, the patron deity of the city, became more than a figure of worship. He became a symbol of Babylonian destiny, a deity whose triumph over chaos mirrored the city's own struggles. Stories of gods and monsters, of creation and cataclysm, intertwined with the daily lives of its citizens. Each brick laid in Babylon seemed to echo with myth, each canal carved along the Euphrates whispering tales of divine favor and mortal daring. The empire expanded, and with expansion came both grandeur and fragility. Babylonian influence stretched over lands that had known centuries of conflict, bringing with it a mixture of tribute, fear, and reverence. Trade routes shimmered with exotic goods, artisans honed their craft, and the city became a living mosaic of culture. Within its walls, scholars measured the heavens, recorded omens, and attempted to chart the course of stars in a cosmos that seemed vast and mysterious. Yet, beneath the splendor, tension simmered. Power, after all, is a fragile flame, easily extinguished by rebellion, betrayal, or the march of another empire. Nebuchadnezzar too would inherit this fragile flame and wield it with unmatched brilliance. His vision transformed Babylon into a city of wonders, the likes of which the world had never seen. Walls so vast they seemed impregnable encircled the city, towers rose like sentinels watching over the land. And the hanging gardens, a marvel whispered about through the ages, painted a portrait of paradise amidst the desert. Nebuchadnezzar's campaigns extended the empire, yet it was not only conquest that defined his reign, it was an obsession with immortality, with leaving a mark that would outlast stone and sand. His reign was a blend of brilliance and hubris, a testament to human ambition's capacity to touch the divine. But greatness, as history teaches, is inseparable from vulnerability. The city's grandeur drew envy, and envy drew adversaries. Internal dissent gnawed at the foundations even as foreign threats loomed. The empires that had once bowed to Babylon's might began to stir, plotting the downfall of a city that had grown fat on its own legend. Nebuchadnezzar's successors faced challenges that no army or wall could entirely contain. Plagues of politics, rebellion, and the inexorable march of time. Babylon, which had risen from a modest town to a crown jewel of the world, now stood on the precipice of decline, a reminder that even the most magnificent civilizations are subject to the tides of history. And yet, the story of Babylon is not one solely of walls and wars, of kings and decrees. It is a story of human aspiration, of the desire to reach beyond mortality and craft a legacy that echoes through centuries. Its myths became part of the world's memory, from the epic tales of Gilgamesh to the lamentations of exiles yearning for their homeland. Scholars, poets, and travelers carried the image of Babylon across time, each adding a layer to its legend until the city became more than a place. It became an idea, a symbol of wonder, ambition, and the delicate balance between power and impermanence. The rise of Babylon and its eventual fall is a story intertwined with the very essence of civilization itself. It is a tale of rivers shaping lives, of kings shaping destinies, and of humanity reaching ever upward toward God's greatness and the fleeting promise of eternity. The echoes of its splendor continue to ripple across millennia, a reminder that the brilliance of one city can illuminate the world long after its stones have crumbled. Its decline came slowly as the relentless tide of history swept across Mesopotamia. Conquerors from the east and west, empires rising in the shadows of Babylon's glory, tested the city's strength. Each siege, each negotiation, each shift of power revealed both the resilience and fragility of human ambition. And when Cyrus the Great of Persia finally cast his eyes upon Babylon, it was with the calculated strategy of a ruler who understood that some cities fall not from walls being breached, but from the very hearts of those who inhabit them. The gates opened, surrendering a city whose legend had already outgrown its walls. Even in its fall, Babylon left a mark impossible to erase. Its myths endured, its structures inspired, and its laws influenced generations far beyond the Mesopotamian plains. Historians and storytellers preserved its memory, each account breathing life into the city that had dared to reach for the divine. Babylon became a mirror in which the ambitions, triumphs, and failures of humanity could be reflected, a reminder that greatness is never permanent, yet its legacy can be eternal. From the humble banks of the Euphrates to the heights of imperial ambition, from Hammurabi's steles to Nebuchadnezzar's hanging gardens, Babylon's story is a symphony of power, devotion, and imagination. It is a tale that teaches us that cities are more than bricks and mortar. They are vessels of dreams, and in their rise and fall, we witness the enduring narrative of human history itself. As the sun rose over the broad plains of Mesopotamia, the city of Babylon shimmered like a jewel in the desert, its walls casting long shadows over the Euphrates. Within those walls, life pulsed with energy and ambition. Merchants in the bustling markets traded in barley, dates, and lapis lazuli, while artisans shaped clay and stone into objects of beauty, offering both utility and artistry to the citizens. The city was alive, a network of interwoven stories, ambitions, and devotions, each citizen playing a role in the grand narrative of Babylon's destiny. Religious life dominated every aspect of existence. Temples dedicated to Marduk, Ishtar, and other deities towered over the city, each ziggurat a testament to human aspiration reaching toward the heavens. Priests, learned in astronomy and astrology, read the movements of the stars to interpret the will of the gods, guiding kings and commoners alike. Festivals transformed the streets into rivers of celebration, where music, dance, and ritual intertwined, blending human joy with divine presence. The city's culture was a symphony of devotion and ambition, a reflection of its citizens' desire to live in harmony with forces far greater than themselves. Nebuchadnezzar, though a conqueror and strategist, was also a visionary builder. The construction of the Hanging Gardens, though debated by scholars, remains a symbol of his ambition to harmonize human ingenuity with the natural world. Terraced gardens rose above the city walls, cascading greenery fed by ingenious irrigation, creating a paradise within a desert city. It was said that the gardens were built to soothe the homesick heart of a queen, yet their grandeur spoke to Nebuchadnezzar's desire to leave an immortal mark upon history. Every stone, every plant, every canal reflected a mind-seeking permanence in a world defined by change. Military might and political strategy went hand in hand. Babylon's armies, disciplined and formidable, marched beyond the city's walls to subdue neighboring lands and secure the empire's borders. The tactics were meticulous, the logistics precise, as supply lines stretched across deserts and rivers, ensuring the city's dominion remained unchallenged. Fortifications, walls and gates were built not merely for defense, but as statements of power, symbols visible from miles away that Babylon was a force to be reckoned with. Every campaign, every treaty, and every victory further cemented the city's influence across Mesopotamia and beyond. Yet, Babylon's brilliance cast shadows as well. The concentration of wealth and power attracted intrigue, envy, and betrayal. Successors to Nebuchadnezzar faced the delicate balance of maintaining authority while appeasing a populace accustomed to grandeur. Internal strife, economic pressures, and external threats combined to weaken the city's once impenetrable aura. History shows that even the mightiest empires are vulnerable to the subtle erosion of ambition and unity, and Babylon was no exception. Its decline would not be sudden, but a slow unraveling, as external empires grew in strength and internal cohesion frayed. Religion and myth intertwined deeply with politics. The city's leaders invoked divine favor to legitimize authority, drawing on the stories of creation, heroism, and cosmic struggle. The Epic of Gilgamesh, though older than Babylon itself, resonated through its courts, reminding rulers and citizens alike of human ambition, mortality, and the quest for immortality. The Tower of Babel, another tale woven into the city's mythology, symbolized the heights of human achievement and the inevitable humbling hand of the divine. These stories were more than entertainment. They were guidance, warning, and inspiration, shaping the decisions of kings and citizens alike. Trade and culture flourished alongside military campaigns. Babylon became a hub of knowledge and commerce, attracting scholars, artisans, and traders from distant lands. Astronomers charted the stars with precision, scribes recorded laws and stories, and mathematicians explored the mysteries of number and geometry. Languages mingled in the markets, while ideas traveled across the empire, creating a cultural mosaic unparalleled in the ancient world. Babylon was a city where intellect, art, and ambition converged, producing achievements that would echo through history long after the empire itself faded. But even as the city thrived, the world beyond its walls shifted. To the east, Persia rose under ambitious rulers who observed Babylon's splendor with a mix of envy and strategy. To the north and west, former rivals stirred, waiting for an opportunity to reclaim power. Babylon's fortifications, though monumental, could not protect against the slow currents of political change, the subtle undermining of loyalty, and the inevitability of time. Empires rise on vision and fall on complacency, and Babylon's fall would be a story not of a single battle, but of centuries of shifting fortunes. When Cyrus the Great advanced, he approached Babylon not as a destroyer, but as a master strategist. History remembers the city's surrender with awe, for it was a conquest marked not by fire and ruin, but by cunning, diplomacy, and psychological mastery. Cyrus understood that to take a city like Babylon required more than weapons. It required patience, timing, and the ability to exploit both ambition and fear. The gates opened, allowing a peaceful transfer of power, and Babylon became part of a larger empire while retaining much of its cultural and religious identity. Even in subjugation, the city's legend endured, its myths and monuments continuing to inspire awe. Babylon's story, though it ended as a political entity, persisted in human memory. Its myths continued to travel across continents, its architecture inspired generations, and its laws influenced the foundations of future civilizations. The city became a mirror in which the ambitions, triumphs, and failures of humanity could be reflected. It reminded the world that greatness is transient, but its echoes can shape centuries, offering lessons in ambition, ingenuity, and the delicate balance of power. The city's canals and walls, temples and gardens, laws and myths all combined to create a civilization that was more than the sum of its parts. Babylon became an idea as much as a city, a symbol of humanity's capacity to dream, build, and aspire beyond the limits of mortality. The Euphrates flowed on, indifferent to the rise and fall of empires, carrying with it the memory of a city that had dared to reach for the heavens. Even as the centuries passed, travelers, historians, and scholars journeyed to the ruins of Babylon, seeking to touch the stones that had witnessed ambition, devotion, and human striving at its most intense. They read the inscriptions, marveled at the remnants of ziggurats, and pondered the stories carried by the wind across the desert. Each generation rediscovered Babylon, drawing from it lessons in power, beauty, and the impermanence of even the mightiest cities. The Babylonian Empire's tale is ultimately a meditation on human aspiration. It is a reminder that cities are more than structures. They are repositories of dreams, struggles, and imagination. Its rise and fall illustrate the delicate balance between ambition and hubris, order and chaos, mortality and the desire for eternity. And as the sun sets over the ruins, casting long shadows over walls that once defied time, the city's story continues to whisper to us, urging humanity to remember that in striving for greatness, we create legacies that can endure far beyond the limits of stone and sand. The Euphrates wound through Babylon like a ribbon of life, nourishing the city while reflecting the brilliance of its walls and towers. Life in the streets was a rhythm of labor, celebration, and devotion. Farmers brought grain from distant fields to sell in bustling markets, merchants bargained over rare lapis lazuli and copper, and artisans sculpted statues and reliefs that depicted kings, gods, and the triumphs of both. Music drifted from homes and temples alike, a harmony of lyres, drums, and flutes, blending human creativity with the divine inspiration that permeated every corner of the city. Babylon was not merely a political entity. It was a living organism, each inhabitant a note in a symphony that echoed through time. At the heart of this vibrant metropolis stood the ziggurats, stairways to the heavens, where priests interpreted omens and charted the stars. They read in the flight of birds, in celestial alignments, and in the patterns of fire and water, seeking to discern the will of gods whose presence was felt in every aspect of Babylonian life. Marduk, the city's patron, was more than a deity. He was a symbol of triumph over chaos, embodying the city's struggle to impose order upon a turbulent world. To honor him, grand festivals transformed the streets into stages of ritual and celebration, where citizens and royalty alike performed rites meant to align the human and divine. These rituals were a bridge between earthly ambition and cosmic destiny, reminding all who dwelled in Babylon that their city was a nexus of mortal and immortal purpose. Nebuchadnezzar II, the architect of Babylon's apogee, viewed the city as both a canvas and a fortress. His walls, monumental and imposing, encircled the city in a declaration of power visible for leagues. Each gate was adorned with reliefs of dragons and lions, symbols of protection and might, while the streets within teemed with gardens, temples, and public squares. His vision extended beyond defense. He sought to create a city where beauty and strength were inseparable. The Hanging Gardens, perhaps the most legendary of all constructions, are said to have ascended in terraces, a marvel irrigated by canals and pumps, a paradise created to honor a queen and awe the world. Even if legend has embellished their scale, their essence remains, a testament to human ingenuity, ambition, and the desire to transform nature into art. The Babylonian military was as disciplined as it was formidable. Armies marched under banners that fluttered against the horizon, trained to maintain order, discipline, and precision in campaigns that extended Babylonian influence across Mesopotamia and beyond. Strategic alliances, careful diplomacy, and the imposition of tribute ensured that Babylon's reach extended far beyond the walls of the city. Soldiers carried the weight of both conquest and expectation, knowing that they were instruments in a narrative that bound the city's destiny to the fate of the empire. Yet even in victory, the seeds of challenge were sown, for the empire's expansion created pockets of resentment, rival powers, and ambitions that would one day test the city's resilience. The culture of Babylon was a tapestry woven from conquest, trade, and intellect. Scholars recorded the movement of the stars, developed sophisticated mathematics, and compiled knowledge that would influence generations to come. Scribes committed laws, tales, and genealogies to clay tablets, preserving a record of human endeavor and divine interplay. Trade brought exotic goods, ideas, and peoples into the city, creating a vibrant cosmopolitan hub where Mesopotamian, Semitic, and foreign cultures mingled. Babylon became a city where intellect, art, and power coexisted, a place where every alleyway, canal, and temple held stories waiting to be told. Yet the grandeur of Babylon could not shield it from the inexorable currents of history. Political tensions simmered beneath the surface. Succession crises, internal dissent, and economic pressures threatened the stability that Nebuchadnezzar's rule had wrought. The city's magnificence, while awe-inspiring, attracted envy and ambition from both within and beyond its walls. Neighboring empires and rising powers watched, waiting for the opportunity to challenge the city's dominance. The fragility of even the mightiest civilization became ever more apparent, a reminder that the walls of stone and the gardens of legend could not protect against the tides of human ambition and historical inevitability. Cyrus the Great of Persia approached Babylon not with brute force, but with strategy and foresight. He understood that the city's grandeur and its people's attachment to tradition could be turned into instruments of surrender rather than destruction. When the moment came, Babylon fell largely without the devastation that had marked other conquests. The gates opened, not in defeat, but in calculated acceptance of a new order. The city became part of the Persian Empire, yet its cultural and religious identity endured. Temples continued to honor Marduk, scribes continued their work, and the story of Babylon persisted, woven into the fabric of a larger imperial narrative. Even in decline, Babylon remained a symbol of aspiration. Its myths, from the Tower of Babel to the tales of Gilgamesh, traveled beyond Mesopotamia, carried by travelers, scholars, and merchants to distant lands. Its laws influenced civilizations long after the steles of Hammurabi had weathered centuries. Its architecture inspired awe, serving as a template for imagination and ambition in the minds of rulers, builders, and storytellers across time. Babylon was not merely a city of its own era. It became a touchstone, a reflection of humanity's enduring desire to achieve greatness and understand its place in the cosmos. The ebb and flow of life in Babylon, its rise, apogee, and eventual fall, illustrate the intricate dance between human ambition, cultural achievement, and the passage of time. The city's canals carried not only water, but the memory of a civilization that reached for the divine while grounded in mortal reality. Its walls, gardens, temples, and marketplaces bore witness to the aspirations and struggles of kings and citizens alike. Even as empires rose and fell around it, Babylon's imprint endured, a testament to what a civilization can achieve when imagination, ambition, and devotion converge. From Hammurabi's codified laws to Nebuchadnezzar's gardens, from the chants of priests atop ziggurats to the negotiations of conquerors at the city gates, Babylon's story is both deeply human and transcendent. It speaks of the heights of ambition, the fragility of power, and the enduring quest for meaning, legacy, and immortality. The city's stones, though weathered, continue to speak, reminding the world that even as empires crumble, the ideas and dreams they embody can shape generations, inspire imagination, and echo across the centuries. Babylon's tale is not confined to its past. It continues to live in the stories we tell, the histories we study, and the myths that endure. Its rise and fall illuminate the cycles of human endeavor, the pursuit of power, the creation of beauty, the struggle for justice, and the inevitable passage of time. In every brick, every canal, every myth, and every law, Babylon whispers to us, inviting reflection, inspiring awe, and reminding humanity that while empires are mortal, their legacies can transcend time itself. The streets of Babylon were alive long before the sun reached its zenith, a chorus of voices, hooves on cobblestones, and the rhythmic flow of the Euphrates. Citizens carried out their daily lives within a city that was both a cradle of civilization and a theater of ambition. Farmers brought bundles of barley, dates, and reeds to the markets, their goods displayed with care for trade with merchants who had traveled far along the rivers and over deserts. Artisans shaped clay into tablets and pottery, carved stone into reliefs, and wove textiles dyed in vibrant colors, each creation a testament to skill, pride, and the city's wealth. The city's pulse was relentless, yet beneath its vibrancy lay an undercurrent of devotion, fear, and aspiration, where every action was framed by the presence of gods who walked invisibly among men. Temples, tall and imposing, dominated the skyline, their ziggurats rising like stairways to the heavens. Priests and scribes moved within these sacred precincts, recording the motions of the stars and interpreting omens, linking cosmic events to earthly consequences. Marduk, the city's patron, was revered above all. His narrative, one of triumph over primordial chaos, mirrored the city's own struggle to impose order on the world. To honor him, festivals erupted with music, dance, and ritual, transforming streets into rivers of devotion, where citizens participated in ceremonies that connected the mortal and divine. Even the simplest daily activities were seen through the lens of cosmic influence, each act a gesture within a larger narrative of human existence under the eyes of gods. Nebuchadnezzar II, a ruler whose ambition matched the sky-reaching ziggurats, viewed Babylon not only as a city, but as an eternal statement of power, vision, and artistry. His walls, constructed with bricks of unprecedented scale and strength, encircled the city like a protective embrace. Towers punctuated the skyline, adorned with reliefs of dragons and lions, symbols meant to guard and awe simultaneously. The Hanging Gardens, perhaps the most legendary of his creations, rose in lush terraces, irrigated by canals and pumps that reflected ingenuity as much as extravagance. Though the gardens' exact historical existence is debated, their essence captures Nebuchadnezzar's desire to harmonize beauty, power, and divine favor, a testament to the human pursuit of perfection in a fleeting world. Babylon's military presence was formidable, disciplined, and omnipresent. Soldiers marched under banners, trained in strategy and tactics that extended the empire's reach and preserved its wealth. Campaigns against neighboring lands, meticulously planned and executed, reinforced the city's dominance while maintaining supply lines that threaded across deserts and rivers. Yet military success demanded more than strength. It required political acumen, alliances, and the careful balancing of power, for expansion brought the ever-present risk of rebellion, both internal and external. Babylon's walls could protect against siege engines, but they could not shield the empire from the subtle currents of intrigue, ambition, and human fallibility. Religion and myth were inseparable from governance and daily life. Babylon's myths, the Tower of Babel, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the triumph of Marduk over Tiamat, shaped both policy and culture. Kings invoked divine authority to legitimize rule. Citizens interpreted omens to guide decisions. Rituals ensured that the city remained in harmony with forces beyond human comprehension. Each myth was a mirror reflecting both aspiration and caution, showing how mortals might reach for the heavens and yet remain subject to the whims of gods and fate. These stories were living lessons, reinforcing ideals of justice, valor, and piety, and warning that hubris could bring even the mightiest to ruin. Commerce and culture intertwined seamlessly. Babylon became a hub of trade and knowledge, attracting scholars, traders, and artisans from distant lands. Astronomy and mathematics flourished, and scribes recorded every law, epic, and observation with meticulous care. Markets overflowed with exotic goods, lapis lazuli from distant mountains, spices from far-off deserts. Textiles dyed in brilliant hues, languages mingled, ideas flowed, and the city became a mosaic of human endeavor, a place where intellect and artistry coexisted with ambition and power. Babylon was a crucible in which civilization itself was tested, refined, and immortalized. Yet, beneath this brilliance lay the seeds of vulnerability. The succession of kings, the pressures of wealth, and the strains of administration tested the empire's resilience. Rivals lurked beyond the city, watching for cracks in the facade of power. The rise of Persia in the east and the subtle machinations of neighboring states created an environment in which Babylon's dominance could not be guaranteed indefinitely. The very factors that had fueled its ascent, ambition, wealth, and ingenuity, would eventually contribute to its vulnerability. The empire's fall would be neither sudden nor violent alone, but a culmination of political, cultural, and strategic forces converging over decades. Cyrus the Great, master of strategy and vision, recognized that Babylon could be claimed without destruction. The city's grandeur, coupled with its citizens' attachment to tradition and faith, offered a path of psychological conquest as powerful as military force. When Cyrus arrived, the gates opened with minimal conflict, and Babylon transitioned into the Persian Empire. The city retained much of its religious and cultural life. Temples continued their ceremonies, scribes preserved knowledge, and citizens went about their lives amidst a new political reality. Babylon, while no longer sovereign, maintained its identity, a city whose legend transcended conquest. Even as centuries passed, the echoes of Babylon endured. Its myths inspired storytellers across empires and generations. Its laws, from Hammurabi's steles to codified traditions, influenced civilizations far beyond Mesopotamia. Its architecture, art, and science informed rulers and scholars alike, demonstrating that greatness is not measured solely by political dominion, but by the endurance of ideas, beauty, and knowledge. Babylon became more than a city. It became a symbol of human aspiration, a testament to what civilizations can achieve when vision, ambition, and creativity converge. The story of Babylon is ultimately a meditation on the impermanence and persistence of human achievement. Its rise and fall illustrate the balance of ambition and humility, power and wisdom, mortality and the quest for immortality. The Euphrates, flowing silently through the centuries, carries with it the memory of a city that sought to touch the heavens while remaining grounded in earthly life. Its walls, temples, gardens, and canals stand as reminders that even when empires crumble, their legacies can endure, shaping imagination, inspiring wonder, and offering lessons for generations yet to come. Babylon teaches us that cities are more than mere physical spaces. They are embodiments of human aspiration, dreams, and struggles. From Hammurabi's law codes to Nebuchadnezzar's monumental works, from the chants of priests atop ziggurats to the negotiations of conquerors at the city gates, Babylon represents the eternal human endeavor to carve meaning and beauty into the world. Its story whispers across millennia, urging reflection, inspiring awe, and reminding humanity that while empires are transient, their ideas, myths, and achievements can echo into eternity. Life in Babylon extended far beyond kings and temples. It thrived in the rhythm of ordinary citizens whose lives, though less recorded, were no less integral to the city's grandeur. Farmers labored along the fertile banks of the Euphrates, guiding irrigation canals that had been engineered centuries before, ensuring crops of barley, wheat, and dates fed both city and empire. Merchants moved through the bustling markets, calling out wares, exchanging goods from distant lands. Lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, cedar from Lebanon, spices from Arabia. Each trade, each transaction, reflected Babylon's position as a crossroads of civilization, where cultures mingled, languages intertwined, and ideas traveled as readily as goods. Education was highly valued, particularly among the elite and the priestly class. Scribal schools taught the complex cuneiform script, mathematics and astronomy, shaping minds capable of recording laws, reading omens, and mapping the heavens. Babylonian astronomers meticulously tracked the movements of stars and planets, their observations forming the foundation for future generations of scholars. Their work revealed not only the cycles of celestial bodies, but also a belief that human fate and cosmic order were inseparably linked. Students copied texts of law, literature, and science, ensuring that knowledge was preserved and disseminated, weaving a continuity that allowed Babylonian wisdom to ripple across time. Religion permeated every aspect of daily life. People prayed before meals, made offerings at local shrines, and celebrated festivals that mirrored the divine calendar. Ishtar, goddess of love and war, was as present in the hearts of the citizens as Marduk was in the grand temples. Stories of divine triumphs and human folly shaped morality, justice, and civic behavior. The tales of Tiamat, Gilgamesh, and the Tower of Babel reminded all who lived within Babylon's walls that ambition must be tempered with humility, that wisdom lay in both reverence and action. These myths were more than stories. They were guides for navigating life, love, and power in a city that demanded both ingenuity and devotion. Art and architecture reflected Babylonian ideals. Reliefs and statues depicted kings in triumph, gods in celestial splendor, and humans in moments of devotion or labor. The city's streets were adorned with murals, mosaics, and inscriptions celebrating victories, festivals, and divine favor. Ziggurats, grand temples, and royal palaces were built with both practicality and symbolic intent, blending function with grandeur. Every brick laid, every canal dug, every garden planted, carried a dual purpose, utility and testimony. Babylon was a city where beauty and order reinforced one another, each element contributing to the narrative of a civilization striving for perfection. Nebuchadnezzar II's personal life added layers of complexity to the city's history. Ancient chronicles suggest periods of brilliance intertwined with episodes of paranoia and possible madness, reflecting the immense pressures of ruling an empire and the human susceptibility to fear and obsession. Whether these accounts are mythologized or factual, they serve as a reminder that even the greatest rulers were mortal, susceptible to the same vulnerabilities that define all human life. His obsessions, his ambition, and his desire to leave a lasting legacy were entwined with the city's rise, shaping not only architecture and military campaigns, but also the mythos that would define Babylon for centuries. Trade networks connected Babylon to the far reaches of the known world. Caravans crossed deserts, ships sailed rivers, and merchants brought spices, metals, and precious stones from distant lands. Babylon's wealth and cosmopolitan character were built upon these networks, facilitating cultural exchange, technological innovation, and the dissemination of knowledge. The city became a hub for scholars, artists, and thinkers, attracting talent from across the Middle East. This cultural richness reinforced the city as status, not just as a political power, but as a center of civilization, a place where intellect and artistry flourished alongside commerce and governance. Yet, even as Babylon thrived culturally and economically, it faced the inexorable forces of history. Political instability, succession disputes, and external pressures began to erode the foundations of power. The Persian Empire, rising to the east under Cyrus the Great, observed Babylon's wealth and influence with calculating interest. The city's eventual surrender was as much the result of strategic genius as it was of the subtle exhaustion of internal cohesion. Babylon passed into Persian hands, yet it retained its cultural vitality. Temples continued their rituals, scribes preserved knowledge, and the city's identity endured, reminding the world that conquest cannot extinguish the spirit of a civilization. Even in its political decline, Babylon's ideas, laws, and myths resonated far beyond its walls. Hammurabi's code influenced legal traditions for millennia. The Epic of Gilgamesh inspired literature across cultures. The city's astronomical observations informed future scientific inquiry. Babylon became a symbol, a reflection of human aspiration, creativity, and the interplay between order and chaos. Its story was one of endurance, a reminder that while empires may fall, the intellectual and cultural achievements of a civilization can persist, influencing generations long after the last king has passed. The canals of Babylon, flowing silently through the city and into the plains beyond, carried with them not only water but memory of human ambition, of kings and citizens striving to touch the divine, of artists and scholars leaving their mark upon the world. Babylon's legacy is a lesson in resilience, creativity, and the impermanence of power. Its story demonstrates that greatness is both fragile and enduring. Fragile in the face of conquest and time, yet enduring through culture, myth, and the preservation of human achievement. From the daily lives of its citizens to the grand designs of kings, Babylon was a city of contrasts, mortal and divine, transient and eternal, chaos and order. Its rise and fall illustrate the complexities of human civilization, revealing the delicate balance between ambition, governance, faith, and culture. The city's stones may have weathered, its gardens may have faded, and its walls may have crumbled, but the echoes of Babylon continue to inspire, educate, and captivate. In the end, Babylon stands as a testament to the human desire to leave a mark upon the world. It is a reminder that empires are more than armies and walls. They are ideas, stories, and dreams embodied in stone, water, and myth. Its history invites reflection on the power of ambition, the necessity of wisdom, and the enduring nature of cultural achievement. The city whispers across the ages, offering lessons in both triumph and vulnerability, urging humanity to remember that while nothing lasts forever, the legacy of what we create can endure beyond time itself. The myths of Babylon were as vital to the city as its walls and canals, echoing through its temples and markets, shaping the consciousness of its citizens. The Epic of Gilgamesh, though older than Babylon itself, resonated powerfully within its walls, telling of a hero who sought immortality, faced divine wrath, and grappled with the limits of human existence. In Gilgamesh's quest, Babylonians saw reflections of their own aspirations, the desire to transcend mortality, to leave a mark upon the world, to reconcile the mortal and the divine. The epic was more than a story. It was a mirror of the city's soul, a narrative that intertwined with its politics, religion, and culture, offering lessons in courage, humility, and wisdom. The Tower of Babel, another tale etched into Babylonian consciousness, symbolized both human ambition and divine intervention. Though debated whether historical or purely allegorical, the story captured the imagination. Humanity, united in purpose, sought to reach the heavens, only to be scattered by the will of gods. Within Babylon, this myth served as a warning to kings and citizens alike, a reminder that ambition without respect for cosmic order could lead to hubris and upheaval. Yet it also celebrated ingenuity, the audacity to imagine, to build, to strive for greatness beyond immediate comprehension. Nebuchadnezzar's personal narrative merged history and legend. Chronicles hint at periods of brilliance, construction, and conquest, interwoven with episodes of obsession, paranoia, and possible madness. He is said to have wandered like a wild man, reflecting both the weight of empire and the human susceptibility to fear and divine judgment. Whether literal or symbolic, these accounts enrich the mythology of Babylon, illustrating that even the most powerful are subject to forces beyond their control: time, fate, and the inexorable flow of history. The city itself seemed to absorb the king's personality, rising in grandeur and vulnerability simultaneously. The Persian conquest under Cyrus the Great marks a pivotal moment in Babylon's story. Unlike many sieges of the ancient world, Cyrus's strategy relied not on destruction, but on psychological mastery and diplomacy. Babylon opened its gates, welcoming a new ruler whose respect for local traditions ensured continuity even in subjugation. Temples remained, priests continued rituals, and scribes preserved knowledge. In this transition, Babylon's spirit endured, demonstrating that an empire's strength lies not only in military might, but in the resilience of its culture, its ideas, and its people. The fall of political sovereignty did not equate to the end of identity or influence. The city's legacy persisted through faith, scholarship, and myth. Even as centuries passed, Babylon inspired empires, scholars, and artists far beyond its walls. Its laws informed legal systems in distant lands. Its astronomical records influenced civilizations that would follow. Its myths traveled across cultures, shaping literature, theology, and philosophy. Babylon became a symbol of human potential, of ambition measured against both mortal limits and divine order. Its story serves as a prism through which we understand the interplay of power, culture, and imagination, illustrating that even when cities fall, their ideas can transcend time. The canals and walls, gardens and temples all stand as metaphors for the human condition. Ambition channeled through structure, creativity expressed through utility, and devotion bridging the mortal and the divine. Babylon's lessons are enduring. They teach that greatness requires vision but must be tempered by wisdom, that wealth and power are fragile, and that culture and knowledge can outlast empires. Its legacy is a narrative of resilience, reminding us that even impermanent structures can leave permanent echoes in human history. In reflecting upon Babylon, one sees the delicate dance of human endeavor. Rulers striving for immortality, citizens weaving daily lives into the fabric of civilization, priests and scholars linking mortal and cosmic order. The city's grandeur, its intellectual and artistic achievements, its myths and its laws, collectively offer insight into what a civilization can accomplish when imagination and ambition align with purpose. Even in decline, Babylon's spirit persisted, echoing through the ages as a testament to what humanity can achieve, dream, and remember. The Euphrates continues to flow where Babylon once stood, indifferent to the rise and fall of empires, yet carrying with it the whispers of a city that dared to reach for the heavens. In ruins and imagination, Babylon teaches a timeless lesson, that while empires are transient, the legacies they create, through culture, knowledge, law, and myth, can endure far beyond stone, sand, and time. Its story, simultaneously cautionary and inspiring, reminds humanity that ambition, creativity, and devotion are the forces that shape history, echoing in eternity even after the final walls have crumbled. Babylon's tale concludes not with finality, but with resonance. Its rise and fall, the lives of kings and citizens, the triumphs and follies of ambition, all converge into a narrative that transcends its own era. It is a story that invites reflection, demanding that we consider our own civilizations, ambitions, and legacies. Through Babylon, we learn that greatness is not only built with walls and wealth, but with ideas, myths, and the courage to aspire beyond the confines of mortality. The city, once a beacon of human endeavor, now exists in memory, scholarship, and myth, a testament to the power of imagination, the reach of ambition, and the enduring human desire to touch eternity. Babylon, the city of wonders, teaches that even when the stones crumble and the gardens fade, the spirit of human civilization persists, whispering to all who listen, urging us to dream, to build, and to remember that our actions can resonate far beyond our own lives.